fun talking shop for 7 hours. And
When was the last time you like taught?
this is the first time I asked Scott Mahalovic, which I knew when he was at Logan, you gotta get me, you gotta get me, you gotta get me. And then now I got an opening. I think they look for super, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoy it. It's fun. Oh, no problem. Again, pleasure's all. Oh, shoot.
Testing. He's not going to be here. Check.
All right, we're gonna be going a little bit here, probably once I decide to sit down. But we're gonna make the things so far, you're gonna go right out of town. I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Russ. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. Meeting's been noticed to Evans Print and Media Group, WCOW Radio, Magnum Radio, La Crosse Tribune, Sparta City Hall, and Sparta Free Library. Mr. Russ, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, we have 2 changes to the agenda. I'd like to recommend moving the show choir report to after the commendations. And I'd like to recommend pulling policy 8450.01 off the consent, as we'll be talking about that at the committee of the whole in April.
All right, thank you very much. All right, without any other changes, I'd request a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move to adopt the agenda as noted.
I have a motion from Mr. McKenna. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Mr. Wells. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0, 1 absent. Everybody can please stand and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Mr. Russ, if you could just announce the mission statement for the district, please.
Yes, our district's mission statement is the following: to educate all students academically, emotionally, and socially to inspire curiosity and resilience.
Thank you very much. All right, at this time, Mr. Blaha, if you'd like to come forward for some commendations, that'd be great.
I'm sorry, Mr. Blaha. If you could go to the microphone, that would be great. I know it's not ideal.
Thank you. You can turn it if you need to or whatever, but that way everybody at home can hear it.
So first, would like to congratulations to our 2 state qualifying female wrestlers. This is the first year the WA had a qualifier for state wrestling. Both these young ladies won their sectional and qualified and did a great job at state. So the combination first. Look right here. Look right here. Your hand out. Your hand. I'll smile. So this is for Vanessa Gavilan.
Congratulations.
Okay, smile. So you're in the picture. And Kylie Hansen. So just congratulations for all the hard work. Coach Stegenhart, Coach Engel, and all their coaches and all the work they did. Thank you so proudly representing Sparta. We appreciate it.
All right.
And I'll try and stay by the microphone. So 2 young ladies, a little different. Again, beginning of a career, end of a career. So first, Ella, right? I don't remember all the places, but our only ever state champion last year, 2nd place again this year, multiple places in other events. So just recognizing all the hard work of one of the best gymnasts that we've ever seen in this side of our state. So congratulations, Ella. And Gabrielle. So this is Gabrielle Borkman, a freshman, state qualifier. So again, stay here. So thank you for all the hard work representing Sparta. And thank you, Coach Bennett, for all the work you've done with these fine young ladies and all the great way you've represented Sparta for many years and this year. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Blaha. Thank you. Yeah, and just again, from the board standpoint, thank you to all 4 of you. You're breaking down barriers. You're showing the true pride. So thank you for that. We appreciate that. All right, we've got quite a crew here. So this is the Sparta Show Choir, right, Mr. Russ? This is what we got here.
Yes, it is. And
Actually-
for those who aren't in attendance, this is usually our attendance at board meetings. So we'd like to try to keep it up for the future. So we'd encourage you all to come back. So, but yep, we have Sparta High School Show Choir here to give their show choir report, Mr. Erickson and Miss Schneider.
Perfect. And with that, Ms. Schneider, we'll hand it over to you. Yeah. Mr. Erickson, you can get them all set up, or Michelle, you can get them set up in place while they're just going to stand up and sing. Is that what's happening? Perfect.
Hello, my name is Cami Schneider, and I am one of the directors for the Upstage Choir, along with Skylar Erickson and Michelle Schwartz. And Andrew Nicholson is our show band director, and we just wanted to kind of give you a recap of our awesome season. Fireworks, we start our competition season in August, and we have a full week camp and a great camp for in Arcadia as a fundraiser and an opportunity. Then the group starts our regular rehearsals in September, and we rehearse on Monday. And our show band and crew join. And then our competition that we rehearse through December, and then our competition season in January. We competed at venues throughout the Midwest against a variety of groups. There are typically between 12 to 16 groups at each competition. I'm just nailing this mic thing. So everyone performs their show during the daytime, and then we are scored by 3 to 5 judges. We're scored on our vocals, on visual and choreography, and on our band. After each performance, each group gets to work with a critique judge for about 25 minutes on certain areas that the show could improve on. And then out of those 12 to 16 groups, the top 6 scoring groups are then announced during the preliminary awards. And then those 6 groups perform their show again in finals that night. Then they are scored and ranked for the final award ceremony that evening. Along with placement, groups can win best vocals, best choreography, best band, best soloist, and showstopper awards. Being our first year in the varsity division, our team's goal was to make finals at least once in our season, and we went to 7 different competitions. This year, we actually made finals 5 times out of the 7, so that was very exciting for us. Our first competition was at Onalaska, and we placed 5th runner-up, and our band also got 1st in the band category. Our second competition was in New London, Wisconsin, and this was the largest competition in Wisconsin, and we got 4th runner-up. In Sauk Prairie, we made it to finals again, and this time we took 1st runner-up, along with the Caption Award for Best Choreography. Then starting in February, we went to North St. Paul, Minnesota, and we were up against some of the bigger groups in Minnesota, and we still made it to finals and received 3rd runner-up. Then we traveled down to the Chicago area and competed in Naperville, Illinois, and this was our biggest competition of the season. This is where groups from Illinois, Ohio, and Iowa were competing, and Indiana, and we were the only group from Wisconsin at this competition. We did not make it to finals, but we did make 6th runner-up, so we just barely missed it, and it was actually only by 10 points that we missed it, so that was really exciting. Then we went to Hastings, Minnesota. Again, this was a very difficult competition. We had groups from Minnesota, Iowa, and Nebraska at this one. We got 7th runner-up, so we didn't make finals, but it was really great to get that high up against those teams. And then our final competition was in Green Bay, and we made it to finals and ended up with 1st runner-up, which was an awesome way to end our season. Along with these awards, we had students selected for Showstopper Awards. These students were chosen by judges who stood out in their performance because of energy and execution. Those students were Tristan Chapman, Natalia Campos, Jenna Martin, Joshua Smith, and Adrian Jewell. There's also a solo comp part of the competitions, and at Onalaska, Peyton Eilers won 2nd place for that as well. And then this past weekend on Saturday, we had our show choir spectacular showcase, and we hosted 117 students in our youth camps during the day. So we had 1st through 4th graders learn choreography and singing for Life is a Highway, the song from Cars. And then we had 5th through 8th graders learn singing and choreography to The Greatest Show from The Greatest Showman. And then our high school students led the camps while directors supervised and tried to organize everything. And then we had parents working all day long, cooking for our spaghetti dinner and baking desserts, which was awesome to have everybody involved. On Saturday, we hosted just over 100 or just under 400 people in our spaghetti dinner. And then we had a packed house, standing room only. Kids were sitting on the floor. It was a pretty awesome sight to see. And then our kids performed a new number at the beginning, and then we had our camps. We had our middle school show choir, Adrenaline Rush, perform their competition show. Our kids did the competition show, and the best thing of the night was our parents performed, and Anthony Scholze was up on stage rocking it. So overall, we had a really great season. I'll let Andrew Nicholson talk about the show band aspect of things.
Hi, I'm Andrew Nicholson. I'm a 1st-year band teacher, fresh out of grad school, and Cami recruited me right away before I even started teaching here. I got recruited to do musical pit director right before I started school, and then even within my 1st week, she got into getting me to do the show band thing, which I was really, really excited about. Competitions is where I love to thrive, and I think the band enjoyed that same atmosphere and competition. When I started show band this year, I heard we had 4 members, and they were kind of struggling to keep together. By the time we got to our first competition, I had 18 students. We took first place overall. And I think from the get-go, after that point, we have had 100% buy-in for all of our band students since then. And it's been showing a lot of improvement, not only in show band and our show choir, but also in our concert bands. Even within my concert band that I teach at the high school, we've been doing grade 2, grade 3, which is easier grade music. And since I've had some really strong students in show band also be in my concert band, we're now playing grade 4, which is like the same level as our symphonic band at the high school. So it's been really exciting to see just that 1 year progress throughout the whole year. At other competitions that we've made second, third, many times. We've made fifth once at one of our competitions too, which was also rather complicated and difficult. And they are just having a blast. It's been really fun to see all the excitement and energy come out of these students with their sound and just the way they've been able to project. And we just couldn't be more proud of them. They're doing awesome.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Nicholson. So yeah, go ahead,
I
Cammy,
was
if
just
you're
gonna
gonna
say,
go for it.
and after all of this, we're gonna perform our ballad from our competition show. So
Perfect. All right. Well, again, I posted this on Facebook. I have a daughter that's in show choir, and this year has been phenomenal watching each and every one of you. And I just want to thank you for representing the city, the district. It has been a phenomenal opportunity for you, phenomenal opportunity for us as a district as well. And I guess all I can say is, again, I posted this on Facebook, but when people look back at when performing arts changed in the district of Sparta, this year will be it. So thank you for that. You're a huge part of that. So. All right. So if you want to feel free to perform, we're ready. Thanks so much, you guys. We really, really appreciate that. Is that the last time you're performing that? Or are you going to go back to the, I was gonna say, I think that's it. So that's a wrap. So great job, directors, parents. Thank you. And all you performers. Okay. So if you want to get out of here, now's your chance. You better run. Oh, don't run. You can walk, but yeah. Love you. She waved at me. Ella waved first and then Caitlin waved. I should have asked if you guys had it. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Hey, wait, everybody. All right. Yep. One more thing here. Hey, Chris, just turn me up just a little bit. Number 4. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. With that complete, we now have public input session. I believe we have one, and that's going to be Mrs. Jessica Crandall. Just make sure you have a green light there, Jessica, and then you're set to go.
Sorry, I'm not very grateful.
No, you're no problem at all. Floor is yours. Mr. Russ, 2 minutes. Thank you, sir.
I made notes this time. I went to the Sparta Area School District when I was a kid. Y'all taught me how to read, you taught me how to write, and you also taught me how to use my voice. Some of y'all probably regret that a little bit. That's supposed to be funny, sorry. I know the school district is doing everything that they legally can to help my daughter. Mr. Russ explained it to me in terms that I can understand. I know their hands are tied by legislation. So I'm going to change that. I've started the process of getting a law passed to correct situations like the one that we're in. We have started with a petition, which we're still very anonymous about. Sorry, I lost my spot. We're very anonymous about all the people involved other than my daughter. Once the petition has reached 10,000 signatures, we are hiring an attorney out of Madison to write a bill to hopefully change the laws so that the victims have more rights and that there's a plan in place to reform offenders. Am I allowed to say my petition site or no? Anyone know?
The floor is yours. As long as you're respectful, you're perfectly
Okay.
fine.
So the petition is www.change.org/Jessica Crandall. It's on the back of my shirt for those of you behind me. I am pleased with how Herman has handled our situation so far, and I'm pleased that you are taking the time to listen to me. I do not seek vengeance against the school district. I do not seek vengeance against the Board of Education, and I don't seek vengeance against the families involved. I just want to be able to help everybody that needs it in situations like ours. Thank you for everything that you've done for my daughter and for us. We are grateful, and we are going to keep fighting until there is a law offering reform, recovery, and safety for all students involved. We're not asking for mandatory expulsion. What we are asking for is time for the offenders to get the counseling they need so they can be successfully reintegrated back into regular school. Thank you for allowing me this time. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for that, Jessica.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You need this off.
Yeah, if you could just click it. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Under reports, the SASD school psychologist report. And I'm guessing Ms. Mullen.
So I was going to come up to introduce the school psychologist by saying, now for our next number. I thought they'd like that. All right, but in all honesty, I am pleased to introduce the school psychologist for the Sparta Area School District.
That would be great. Thank you.
We don't sing or dance, but we have paperwork, so just to share. I'm Gina Hunt. I've been a school psychologist in the district since 1998. So this is my 25th year in the district. I have worked in all of the schools. When I first started, I had 5 schools and was traveling between those, including Cataract and Leon. And since that time, we have grown, as you can see. There's other school psychologists here, which makes it only beneficial for the students that we serve. So, oops.
Hello, everyone. I'm Erin Schreiner, and I am the newest addition to the school psychologist team. This is only my 2nd year in the district, but I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Rothorn Schultz. I've been here for 5 years at the middle school. So
I'm Micah Anderson. I'm at Southside currently. When I started, I was at various elementary schools. And this is Beans, the therapy dog that accompanies me to school every day.
Yes, so we are your friendly neighborhood school psychologists, and we just want to thank you for allowing us to take some of your time this evening so we can, just kind of introduce ourselves and, make clear what it is that we do and what we provide to our students. Because, the running joke is that, wait, so you're a school counselor? And nope, there is a distinction. So we're going to kind of, highlight what it is that we provide for the district. So you'll see right here, this is our big fancy practice model that is put forth by our National School Psych Association. And really at the root of it, what we aim to do is to address barriers that our students, the staff in the schools, and our families within the district face to maximize the potential learning and growth and emotional growth of our students.
all right, so this is just kind of a list of some of the things that we do, some of the services that we provide. The first one is data analysis, assessment, and evaluation. So this is a really big piece of what we do. We do between probably 60 and 100 evaluations a year. And what those evaluations are seeing if students qualify for special education services. So we do initial evaluations to see whether they initially qualify. And then every 3 years, we do a reevaluation for the students to see if they continue to qualify. So with all that, we do different assessments, social, emotional, behavioral. We do IQ assessment, academic assessment, speech and language, gross motor skills, fine motor skills. There's all sorts of different assessments that we do during that evaluation process.
Along with that major role, we also consult with families and teams, which can look like providing expertise, helping plan, problem solve. And we're kind of the bridge between a lot of different areas of school, between special ed and regular ed, between the families and the school, building teams, building response teams. We kind of are the go-between for a lot of that.
And so kind of going off of what Micah just shared, we have our hands kind of in everything across the school. And one of the aspects that we really help out with is that facilitation of both academic interventions as well as any behavioral interventions that our students might need. So that looks like collaboration with our wonderful intervention teams across the district, collaboration with teachers, as well as families and other school staff, such as our counselors and our aides that are in the buildings.
One of the other areas that we have expanded on and hopefully will continue to expand on is the support for mental health concerns. Over time, certainly the level of anxiety that students feel, the mental health needs has just gone, the numbers have so increased. One of our concerns is that which children are we missing? And that's always a concern. Many times we have students that come to us because of self-harm concerns, suicidal ideation, suicidal attempts. We work with those students, do suicide assessments, response planning, contact parents in those situations, as well as maintain that transition if they are hospitalized back to the school environment with the supports that they need. So, and then we support schools, or our students in the schools. Many times there's different social emotional needs that students may have, and support those in methodologies that's appropriate. On one of the handouts that was passed out to you, it also notes how school psychologists can promote positive behavior and mental health. So that gives you kind of a more extended explanation of some of the things that we can do. One of the main areas also is supporting students with how to cope with situations and enhancing their development of resilience.
All right, and the next bullet point up there is culturally responsive services. So this is basically just looking at our diverse student population and making sure that we're providing services for them that are appropriate for their culture and their needs. This comes up a lot with evaluations too, that we need to use culturally responsive assessments in order to complete those evaluations. For example, we have a large ELL population, so we have to really be careful about what assessments that we use for them, and looking at how that impacts their ability to function in the school environment. So we get a lot of training with the conferences we go to on some of those different aspects of our student population and how we can best support them.
Part of the crisis and prevention response roles that we have, there is a lot of day-to-day responses, whether it be behavioral escalations or helping students regulate. But ideally, if we can do the preventative side, it's much more fulfilling, helpful, and saves a lot of resources in the long run.
And I just wanted to add a small piece with that as well. But with the crisis prevention and response, we often are the leaders on like threat assessment teams and that sort of thing. When threats come to the school, like a student says something about bringing a gun to school or whatever else, that's usually when we're involved, and we're kind of assessing the threat with the rest of our team and coming up with an appropriate response to that.
Okay, so as part of some of the systems level things that we support, one of them is school-wide database decision making. So we are kind of uniquely positioned within our role to, have extensive knowledge on what programs have a solid scientific evidence base behind this, and what is going to be best for our students and help them along their path of learning. So there is a lot of work done both within a building level as well as just at a district level with our systems, and helping our staff to be making decisions that are best for our students.
Yeah, and kind of just going right off of that, with our multi-tiered systems of support, we have pretty big roles in like positive behavior interventions and support. So PBIS, which is like the social emotional kind of aspect of the multi-tiered systems of support. And then we also have response to intervention, which is talking more about the academics, like more intensive intervention, the class-wide interventions, those sorts of things. So we're a pretty big part of that, interpreting the data that comes from some of those systems that like Aaron was just talking about with interventions and that sort of thing.
Short one here. Yeah, thank you. I work at the high school level, sales, High Point, and grades 4, 5, and 6 at Montessori. And so I can only speak to the social emotional learning opportunities that are present there. One of the great things that we are doing is we have, under the guidance of Mr. Ford, developed an SEL committee that looks to what can we do for staff? What can we do for students? And how can we enhance their knowledge and awareness of themselves so we can join together in promoting that positive mental health and concerns. And that starts with, first of all, supporting those who meet the students on a daily basis. And so kind of that's one of our endeavors right now, looking into that, combining a couple committees into one. We meet and are developing supports and hopefully curriculum to put forth next year.
Part of creating a safe and supportive learning environment, we recognize that for some individuals, school may be their only safe space. And for an individual's hierarchy of needs, in order to access learning, you have to feel safe. You have to have those core needs met first. So we recognize that and try to provide that on a district-wide level, building-wide level, and individual level as much as possible through accommodating and modifying as much as we can.
And going right along with that, supporting students with unique and diverse learning and emotional needs. When we think of diversity, a lot of times the first thing we think of is cultural diversity, but individuals can be diverse in so many different ways. And even when you look at one of the qualifying areas of special education, specific learning disability, one student with a specific learning disability may have completely different needs and look totally different than another student with a specific learning disability. So it's really one of the things that I love about the job is when you're looking at a student and it's kind of like a mystery, you know, you got to peel back the layers and you got to look at them holistically and figure out what unique needs does this student have and how can we best meet those. So just thinking more broadly about diversity and how the environment and bunch of different factors can impact our students. So
Erin kind of spoke to one of the areas that's paramount to what we do is in enhancing the academic achievement of students to support their success as they go through school. Many times students struggle a lot with reading. They struggle a lot with math, writing, whatever it may be. We work with students with a variety of different medical needs, language needs, orthopedic needs, and how do we support these students moving forward and allow them the success that other students have. One of the areas that we are trained in is academic assessment. There are a variety of different areas that we look at, whether it be formal or informal measures. And so that would be a way, but also observing within the classroom and seeing how they perform in the classroom and how their environment impacts them. So again, as a main goal is success for our students.
I think for our school, family, and community partnership goal is to maximize the cohesiveness that we have across all those different areas. I myself, I work at the Early Learning Center, so I work with a lot of outside agencies like Birth to 3, help students transition from that program into the school, Head Start, some of the county services, bringing in mental health services like Peace of Mind. So we're all on the same page, working towards the same goal and just maximizing the outcomes.
okay, so we kind of touched on a lot of these areas just with what we provide and what we support, but these type of tasks are just a list of some of the things we might be doing on the day-to-day. So for example, this morning I got some paperwork done, which, you know, depending on how crazy things are in the building might not always happen. I was able to conduct a student observation in the classroom. I was able to borrow a friend to do some testing, some cognitive testing. I always refer to them as brain games with the kids, and they seem to enjoy those. And I had a a team meeting for a student and facilitated an evaluation meeting this afternoon. And I, made contact with at least 4 or 5 different families. So all of these things are kind of happening throughout our day, and each day looks a little bit different based off of what the needs of our building, our student population are for that moment. But there's never a dull moment, that's for sure.
I just, in finalizing, also want to share that we also participate with UW La Crosse in training, having students in the graduate program there come to do their practicums at Sparta, as well as in some of the other buildings here. With the support of our administration this year, I have a graduate student that's in her first practicum. So this is her first opportunity in the school, and one that's in her third practicum. So next year she'll be moving on to her internship. And after that, then she'll be able to apply for regular licensing. So we kind of are part of the day-to-day, but also in training those that'll come after us in different school districts.
All right. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, what questions can we answer for you
Yeah,
guys?
great. Any questions or comments from board members? Go ahead, Mrs. Lopez.
Mrs. Hunt, you mentioned, is this working?
Yep.
You mentioned developing an SEL curriculum.
Mhm.
Is that something that we plan to do on site or here for our district, or are there opportunities to
We have
bring something in?
we have a committee that has researched different SEL curriculums that is available, and based on cost, certainly that's an area. What do they provide to staff and students? First of all, we have to look at what the staff needs and how they can develop and enhance that emotional development with students, and as well as the curriculum for students. So we do have a couple in mind right now. We're at the point where Mrs. Schaff, the intervention coach at the high school, has talked to a company and getting some more information. So it's just kind of at that initial stage.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Do you feel as though, I'm sure that they are evidence-based,
Yes.
based on data
Yep.
and everything. You mentioned the cost of these
Mhm.
curriculum. Do you have any idea what they run, or?
I do not. I haven't looked at the cost factor of some of those. There is one that is quite costly. Again, what we look at, like you said, the evidence-based, what other districts have done with those curriculums, how they have found those to be effective. And so kind of researching that, just the idiosyncrasies of all the specific SEL curriculums that are out there. And surprisingly, there's quite a few right now. So we do have 2 in mind. And those would follow the tiered the MTSS system. So looking at universal as well as tier 2 and tier 3 supports.
Thank you very much.
Mr. McKenna, did you have something?
Yeah, I've got 2 quick questions, I guess. Number one, we keep hearing about mental health coming out of pandemic. Did we approach this year the same as we have previously, or did we do something to prepare ahead of time for that mental health change?
I think over time, and I was here before COVID, I saw a lot of the heightened anxiety prior to some of those areas, also an increase in some of the mental health supports. And here we have students that have significant needs, like in the area of bipolar disorder, and how do we support their mental health needs, working closely with their clinician that they have. I think possibly, I can't speak for everyone else, but I think my awareness and my just reading more about how COVID impacted families and students individually, we prepare for that. I think we have to. I think our awareness, that's a question I ask for students too, is, the impact that if they have had COVID, certainly that can impact their assessments that we do. We don't know long-term, what some of those effects would be. So I think individually we do. I can't speak for, building wide.
I guess the second part of that then is, do you feel like more support is needed?
That's definitely, I think, would be a positive. I think the mental health is a great barrier for some students. They struggle, they want to do well. We also face the mental health factors that impact families within the family unit. The student carries that with them. So it's not only if they're directly diagnosed, but the family unit also may be struggling. So that is also another facet that we deal with. We can't do any counseling for families. We're not trained for that, but we can support the students in school.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Further, oh, please,
Yeah, I was
Mr.
gonna add
Anderson,
to that.
go ahead.
As I mentioned before, when I started here, we had 3 psychs and it was very fragmented. I was in 4 different buildings. And essentially all we were doing was, psychometric testing, and we were spread pretty thin just doing that. When we've had 5 psychs in the districts, that has provided awesome opportunities to implement things like a therapy dog. Myself being a part of the building team and working with individuals, doing some counseling type roles, and just that day-to-day in building response that I was not able to do because I was, for the most part, just running from building to building prior to that.
And I'll just chime in briefly. So previously, before Lisa took on her new role, her and I shared Herman Elementary. So I took our 3rd and 4th graders while she had our 1st and 2nd graders. And one of the things about that was it, as Micah kind of alluded to, it allowed me to really be part of the day-to-day, a familiar face to the students. I wasn't constantly running around going from my one observation to my next testing session to my next meeting, which, it was still busy, but I was able to provide more of that direct firsthand support to students who were in emotional or behavioral crisis in those moments. And, having had 2 psychologists in the building and now going to 1, it has limited my ability to be a direct responder because, I have twice as many students that I need to be responsible for meeting the deadlines for their evaluations and, servicing more of those students. So, and having come in to the district as an additional FIS, I do see the benefit of more support. Absolutely.
Further questions or comments? Yeah, Mrs. Lopez, go ahead. Or Mr. Wells, were you? Go ahead. Yeah.
So first I want to say thank you for all the work you do. I just know that it was one thing that my getting screened was one of the big things that my brothers had to do in order to get the support they needed and in order to really move forward within their educational careers. And you guys are a key start to that. And you also help push a lot of these students with high needs across the finish line. And that's exactly what we need. So just wanted to say thank you.
Mrs. Lopez, go ahead.
Thank you. I may have missed this in your presentation, but do you know what percentage of our student body require direct services long-term? And then maybe how many you see or you work with on a day-to-day basis, like on any average day?
So I can speak for Herman as a building. I was actually kind of digging into our data and our percentages, and currently not including the students who only receive speech therapy as their main service, we were sitting at 12% of our student population within that building as being qualified under special education in one of the areas or multiple, and having a varying level of need. Now, in terms of the direct day-to-day support, once they're through the evaluation process, a lot of times that does shift more to our special education staff, those teachers, and them as case managers. There are a handful of students, I know, speaking for myself, that I'm still pretty directly involved in. Some students will come and do a daily soft landing check-in with me and different things. So I guess it's hard to say on the day-to-day how many students we're seeing for that FaceTime, but I can at least give you that number.
And I
Further
can say-
questions or comments? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
And I can say at the middle school level, I've done a lot of initial evaluations this year. So initially qualifying students for special education services and looking at like our caseloads that our special education teachers are managing, meaning like how many students they need to provide services for on a weekly basis at the minimum, typically a daily basis. A lot of them are becoming overwhelmed just with the number of needs and the amount of services those students need. So we do provide a significant amount of service, and our special education teachers do just an astounding job with what they are able to do given the number of students with those needs.
Thank you so much for that. And I don't have any questions, but I just got to say, you're a phenomenal team. I mean, this really is pretty amazing. Mr. Anderson, you and I didn't have much time to talk when you were at Southside, and I was hanging out with Miss Everson Riley, but in the time that I was there that morning, he helped the student under a table. He helped the student climb out from behind a wall of some sort. I mean, you were just moving from place to place, and I thank you all for that. It's tough work that you're doing, but you're doing amazing work. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a great night. All right. Item 2C, Sparta Area School District 23-24 Employee Benefit Renewal Report. Mr. Russ and Ms. Hauser.
All right. There we go. This is going to be a quick report. Unfortunately, we were hoping to have more information. Then besides that, we're looking at a 17% renewal, which is very high. We have budgeted tentatively a 10% renewal. So we're hoping to have information for you tonight in regards to ideas on how we can lower that to closer to 10 or below, or as close as we can to 10%. Unfortunately, I know our insurance agents are working very hard. However, they're relying on other companies as well. So we don't have a lot of report tonight. I believe we are still on track for a committee of the whole recommendation to give you some options. Our employee benefits team may be meeting even tomorrow. We have some dates already planned. But right now we're kind of in a holding pattern until we can get some information from the companies in regards to what are some design changes, what are some changes that we'd like to do, what are some changes that are options. But we don't have a lot of information for you tonight, which we were hoping to bring. So, but on the 10th of April, our goal is to have that to you as the open enrollment period starts May 1st. So it's moving very quickly. We're just waiting on some key information. Ms. Hauser, did I forget anything else?
Any questions or comments for Mr. Russ or Ms. Hauser on this item? Thank you for that quick report. All right, item 3, consent agenda. Mr. Russ, I just want to make sure I wrote this down right. We're pulling policy 8450.01, correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so if the rest of the board members could just take a look at the consent agenda items, make sure that they look how we had planned for them to look, and then I would entertain a motion to approve that.
While you're looking at that, I do want to, for the employment recommendations, Mr. Derek Sands has been recommended for the assistant principal role at Sparta High School. We're hoping to have that role for sure. And I know we'll be talking about future deans in the future, but we're hoping that we can have Mr. Sands as that assistant principal role. He went through the interview process, went through that whole process, and we're very proud to bring Mr. Sands to you as an assistant principal candidate for next year.
I'm very excited for that. Thank you, Mr. Sands. Appreciate it.
I move to approve the consent agenda, but I need to pull out letter D, please.
All right, letter D has been removed. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
I have a second from Mrs. Lopez, and we'll do roll call.
Ms. Prestwood? Yes. Mr. McKenna?
Yes.
Mr. Schulze?
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0, 1 absent. Item 3D, recommendation to approve Sparta High School's 2023 candidates for graduation. And I'm assuming I know why this is pulled, because Ms. Prestwood Funkhauser has to abstain. All right. So with that, I will entertain a motion to recommend and approve the Sparta High School 2023 candidates for graduation.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Mr. McKenna. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A second from Mr. Wells. Do I have any further discussion? All right, hearing none, roll call.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Schulte,
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Ms. Presswood, abstain.
Motion carries 5-0, one abstention, one absent, and more importantly, congratulations, Ms. Presswood. Yeah, he made it. That's great. All right, item 4A, discussion and possible action to approve staffing decisions and priorities for the 2023-2024 school year. Mr. Russ.
All right, before we get into new information, I wanted to go through some information that was on the committee of the whole agenda. I just wanted to review that for those who might not have been on the earlier meeting. These upcoming slides are the same slides as were presented to the committee of the whole. We just want to highlight some things. Under this plan, no current SASD employee will lose their employment. Their locations or responsibilities may change, but no one is getting laid off, reduced, or anything like that under our plan. We've collaborated quite extensively. Staff would be shifted to meet student needs, and the administration has worked very hard. And I can tell you that the building administrators understand the big picture and have advocated very strongly for their buildings, but they do keep the big picture in mind. We have had some retirements and resignations already. And once again, we've already started that attrition process. That happens annually across all the school districts. We're doing our best to make sure that attrition this year is as low as possible, but our plans, no one will be losing their employment. We're treating ESSER funds and Fund 10 or our general operating as the same as we move forward. And once again, these recommendations are from administration. I am bringing these to you as my recommendations with the input from administration. The reductions for consideration are on the screen. Once again, these are the recommendations that we brought forth last week, and we're going to go into more in depth in most of these as well. We're looking at an instructional coach, which is currently vacant. Herman, staff member, teacher, 3 teachers at Meadowview, 2 SVLA teachers, special ed teachers, that is, and 5 regular education assistants district-wide. And with the retirement of Mr. Roddick, the principal at Herman. We're also looking to expand possible areas. ISA is going to be getting 1 teacher per an expansion grant. Looking to add a dean of students to Meadowview, a possible 0.1 assistant principal, because Mr. Sanders, I'll use him specifically. His position is 90% Fund 10, 10% Fund 80. And part of one of the ideas we had is to make that position whole and making that completely out of Fund 10. So we'd have to increase that. Looking at adding a regular education assistant to sales to meet the demand there. And we're adding back the assistant principal at Sparta High School, which we discussed a little earlier. The recommended administration structure as presented. The changes would be at Meadowview, Mr. Ott, Mr. Sanders, and then a dean of students. Mr. Sanders would continue as the ISA principal. At Herman, we'd have principal Mr. Oswald, and our plan is to move Mr. Dow to Herman. And at Sparta High School, Mr. Ford, along with Mr. Sands now as the assistant principal and a potential dean of students, along with the activities director, Mr. Blaha. CLC, Miss Everson Riley, and Montessori, High Point, and sales would remain the same under Dr. Wendy Burnett. Net staffing reductions as presented on the screen. And the anticipated benefits would be approximately $455,000 total salary and benefits. And now some additional information that we brought back to the board. Want to highlight a few things. The staffing budget. Staffing presents about 70% of our total budget. So it is the major portion of it. Our goal is to attract and retain. Under the recommended plan, I want to reiterate, no employees would lose their employment with us. We want to offer competitive wages, and part of the staffing budget, along with the positions, includes increases to CPI in the wages and health insurance. We talked a little bit about those already, but once again, our goal is to attract and retain and have the best educational environment possible and journey possible. And we believe by making sure that we have a high qualified staff, that is the number one thing that we need. Now, to get back into a little bit more of the budgetary, we're going to talk, when you talk about salary and benefits, these three positions are going to be talked about, and these are the overall salary and benefits per position. A 1.0 teaching position, for budgetarily, we budget $70,000. For an educational assistant, that's regular or special, they don't matter. They do not matter. I apologize for that. Or when we talk salary and benefits, it is $50,000. In a dean position, we're talking $100,000. And once again, these are salary and benefits included. Additional information for administration. Budgetarily, we're looking to add an assistant principal, where we did add the assistant principal and a dean of students, and a 0.1 increase to Meadowview's AP and ISA to match the administrative recommendations that were presented earlier. The recommendations are in line with our comparables. Earlier, I shared with the board local comparables, which would include La Crosse, Toma, Onalaska, Holman, West Salem. We budget $70,000. We plan on a $70,000 dean position. The reason why that is $70,000 is that it is higher than the highest teacher pay, and there's an additional 10 days included on that contract. We believe that the additional deans give support to students, staff, and families by strengthening relationships, very much that what the school psychs mentioned, or the restorative side, in being proactive as much as possible. We want to be able to give staff feedback on their performance, coaching, and professional development. We want to invest in our staff, and in order to do that, our goal is to get the administration in the classroom as much as possible, along with our instructional coaches and other resources we have. We also believe that this will increase family connections, both for academic, social, and emotional learning. Those family connections and those family supports are so important in moving forward. Activity director roles. I want to start with saying that until we really, I'm on Meadowview. Oh, I'm sorry. Too many clicks. I can't see up there and down here. So activity director role. Until we finalize our administrative structure, we're going to have to really hold off on assigning additional roles. But we believe our recommendations are in line to our comparables. Some ideas we had is a district-wide AD. Toma has that. SHS AD with additional responsibilities. Currently, Mr. Blaha is an assistant principal. In the past, it was sales. I'm not looking to put that as, I'm not recommending that at all, but there might be additional duties to that, depending on what the administrative structure is. Some districts have their facilities all go through the high school AD, or for a reason that there's one person in charge of our district facilities. Right now, it's up to the building principals or designee to do that on a daily basis. Middle school AD, we can stay status quo like we have, or we can make it an extra duty contract, which some schools do, or attach it to another teacher as part of their daily responsibilities. Once again, we have some ideas, but until we can get a solid structure of our administrative, how it looks like, they're just ideas right now. Additional information for Meadowview core teachers. The recommendation, once again, comes from 3.0 FTE reduction at Meadowview, and the class sizes are below. With the anticipated increase of ISA, I talked to Mr. Sanders and they have their plan to roll out. You can see how the class sizes would increase. They would increase by about 2.5. Well within our acceptable ranges. And the rationale is we firmly believe that putting high quality teacher is much more important than class size. Okay, the research is clear that a high quality teacher and giving them the support is the number one way to increase, one of the best ways to increase student achievement. Small class sizes have a small impact. I would reference Hattie's work that says a high impact teacher gets support, has valuable resources, engagement, and class sizes are further down the road. We believe that we can still keep the pod structure. Meadowview staff has given some ideas to Meadowview administration, which has passed those on to us. My goal is that we can keep the pod system if we want. Okay, I'm not looking for the board necessarily to say, hey, what is the instructional model that we're going to be using at any of our buildings? We're looking to the board to set those staffing levels, and we have some options. We can keep the pod system. It may look a little bit different, but we can still keep the pod system, keep the same schedule, and move forward at a high level. The COOL program would continue. So the 5th and 6th grade program that takes our students that might need a little bit more support, the students that are regular education need a little bit more support, that would continue. And once again, ISA is increasing their capacity as well. And we do believe that we can still have those high relationships and high student achievement that they're seeing. The educational assistants. So again, these are district-wide that we believe that we can accommodate this. We're looking at an increase at sales, a decrease potentially in educational assistance at SHS, Herman, and Southside. Some of these have already been our positions that are not filled right now due to resignations and retirements. It's a net 4.5 FTE reduction. And as a reminder, the special education and educational assistants are determined by the IEP team and what supports are needed given the individual's specific need. SVLA teachers, special education. It's our recommendation to reduce by 2 SVLA special education teachers when the buildings we believe can absorb the caseloads. Currently, there are 13 students on the caseloads, and assuming no changes moving forward, that means no ins, no outs, there would be 10 students district-wide that would need to be absorbed by the buildings. We believe that is very reasonable to do and realistic to do and still have a high quality special education teacher for our students on SVLA. Herman, looking at just the enrollment coming in. Currently, if we did do the reduction, we would look from 14.3 to 16.1 class size at Herman. We believe this is a reasonable thing to do. And before I continue, I want to, directors, anything else you want to add that I might have missed or reinforce?
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Russ. From a board standpoint, any questions or comments for Mr. Russ to start this discussion? All right, hearing none, the floor is open for discussion on this topic.
So I guess I'll start. So
Mr. Wells, go for it.
yeah, I think we had a similar discussion last year with our possible reductions and how we could promote our teachers as best as we can. How could we support, promote, and move them forward? And one of the best quotes that I had from a teacher was, as long as if I have a piece of chalk and a good mentality, I could teach these kids no matter what. And so in reality, we need to focus on supporting our educators. And, you know, when we have 2 extra students per class, we have to think of all the behavioral issues that we've been talking about, things that people vote no on referenda for. And so when we think big picture here, having these support structures in place would greatly help our teachers and allow us to do more for each individual teacher, as opposed to having two less students per class, which does seem like a great advantage. However, having that extra support, hour of support or whatever it may be, less behavioral issues, not consuming their entire day, I think it would be really helpful for us to, I think that would be the one thing that'll help us retain our staff and keep them going.
Thank you for that, Mr. Wells. Any other question or any other comments? If we could go back to slide 20, reductions for consideration. I think this would be a good starting point. Keep going. One more. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. So again, we can structure this how we want to. I guess I'm thinking let's just run down the line here. Okay. So for me, I can see the reduction of the instruction. All of these are tough. These are all important roles within the district. I think myself, I can support all reductions with the exception of the 3 teachers at Meadowview as of right now. Is there further discussion on that from other board members? Not to say that I wouldn't get there with the 3, but we need, for me, I need to have further discussion on that with you guys as a team.
I agree.
Go ahead, Mrs. Lopez.
I was just going to say, I agree with that.
Okay. Further discussion on the reductions for consideration at the moment. Mr. McKenna, go ahead.
I struggle with all of it. We keep talking about how much more need there is, how much more support kids need, how the behavioral issues have compounded. And we're looking to, regardless of who it is, these are all people who provide for support. They're going to do it in different ways, but they're all there to support. We're looking at a budget that is, and there's no way around it. It's full of assumptions. There is lots of ways we could have assumed our budget and it would have been balanced without cutting staff. We assume $100 per pupil raise because that's conservative. Governor's budget's calling for $350. We won't know until July. If it's $150, we didn't have to cut a person. We're assuming 35% special ed. Governor's budget's calling for 60% special ed. If it's 40, we didn't have to cut a person. Why do we have to be in a hurry to do it today? Can we staff administration? We put a plan in force with administration and wait? I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take before some of our assumptions fall into place, before we know which boxes are right and which ones are guesses. But I feel like this year is completely a guess. You know, last year, we had many more boxes checked. We knew things. And we were still off by $700,000. We ended the year with we didn't have to touch our 575 we set aside. We still had 130. I feel like the projection we have now, and this is no fault of business services, it's not Leah, it's not administration, it's just the way the process sets out with the timeline. I don't think we're going to be close. I don't see how it's possible. I'd like to wait. I'd like to set the administration structure where we want it and wait as long as we can for this.
Further comments from board members on this? Here's my thought process on this when I look at this, Pat. So 0.5 instructional, currently vacant. I can see that. 1 first grade teacher, moving us up to 18. I consider that feasible. We have extreme concern from numerous educators at the Meadowview level that have reached out to us that have strong and realistic concerns about how it's going to affect the pod system. Whether it does or not, I'm not sure. Again, that's, as Mr. Russ said, you know.
I think I exaggerated. I shouldn't have said none of it. The 0.5 instructional coach makes sense. I struggle with first grade teacher, but could probably get by it. The 2 SVLAs, I understand if we can incorporate those into our special ed. And the principal at Herman does make sense. what do the regular education instructional assistants do today, and who would adopt those roles if we cut it?
So I might have to ask my administrative team to fill in here. At SHS, there's 2 educational assistants who currently oversee their study halls as supervision. The teachers would assume that responsibility to oversee that. So the teachers would take that.
And
At
what are,
South, oh, I'm sorry.
what are those teachers doing now?
Right now they have prep time.
So
And
they would be
I can tell you,
foregoing
Mr.
prep time.
Ford has some, the teachers came and said, we need to do some things for our student discipline. So they have the Spartan stroll or Spartan stroll. I think that's at least Mr. Ford's calling it, where they walk around the halls during their prep to make sure kids are getting the right spot and make sure they're where they're supposed to be. At Southside Early Learning Center, there is a educational assistant who is now open, who just retired. Primary function, Miss Everson Riley. Academic and behavior support. And a certain so for the future. So EL support and academic and behavior support there. At Herman, we have a retirement already, and Mr. Oswald, academic support, and they would shift to make that work.
And I guess I want to apologize. I thought the EA positions were on a different slide. For some reason, I just bypassed that. I would be in favor of the reductions, withdrawing the 3 teacher positions at Meadowview and those 5 EAs as of right now. The other stuff I could see, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Mr. McKenna. I just, for whatever reason, I had skipped over that. So not to say we can't make those adjustments later down the road, but as of right now, I just don't see removing those positions. Further discussion from board members on that?
Sam, what do you see a timeline? I mean, we're gonna have to make this decision sometime soon. So especially because, you know, staff contracts do come out in July. So we can't really wait for the state budget to approve, because I know some years that happens in October. I mean, it's rare, but it happens in October. So
we plan on to address the teachers. Once again, no teachers are being laid off. Okay, because of this plan. So us issuing contracts by May 15th that are due by June 15th, that is not a problem. That's not a problem. So we're not waiting to say, hey, is someone going to get laid off? Do we have to go through the non-renewal process for the layoffs or whatever that might be? So that part of it is not a problem. The questions that come up is hiring. Is we wait too long, we're losing good candidates to fill positions. Is there a definite structure that we won't go below? Is 8 okay? So if we drop down to 7, well, if we have some options. So when we started this process administratively, one of our goals is to set this early as possible so we can continue to work with our staff to come up with the best solutions possible. So the further down the road we go, we'll just say with Meadowview says, okay, or can we hire somebody? Are we able to do this? What kind of people are we looking for certifications? And how will that look moving forward? So it's really about hiring the best people we can right now. And I can tell you that our staff will probably want to know what that CPI raise is going to be. One of the things that we hear often is that we always want to try our best before you go on break. And Leah went to a couple conferences where it reinforced before we go on summer break, the teachers want to know what they're going to be paid. Because the longer we wait, the more districts will set that. And once again, we're trying to make the best culture and climate as possible. So we're hopefully saying, you know what? Nope, we'll wait for the money. trust the board. And, once again, having these discussions shows that, we're just not making rash and rush decisions. But it's establishing what our budget is so we can tell our staff, this is the plan moving forward, what we have, the best we can. But they also will understand on the flip side that, the budget isn't going to be set until later. Last year was much more set because it was the second year of our budget. This year, we're looking at things that we can, with the changes that we recommend, we believe very strongly that this will get where we need to get that balanced budget. But so for attraction and retention of staff, that is the number one thing. And so that we can go into the school, into the summer, knowing, hey, this is what you're most likely teaching. This is how you can plan, and this is how we're going to support you financially.
See, and I think that's the hardest part for me right now is when we look at those 8 positions. I mean, in a world where we're preaching climate, culture, and relationships in our district, I just, without having a little bit, another once over of the full budget from Ms. Hauser and Mr. Russ, again, I just to see if there's anywhere else that we can make a reduction outside of those 8. I mean, I don't know why that wouldn't, if we wait until April on those 8 positions, are we affecting anything in a majorly negative way? Go ahead, Ms. Hauser.
I'll just go over the budget calendar process. So the big decisions that we have to make in April is our employee benefits, particularly our health insurance. Unfortunately, we don't have good news with that right now, and we don't know where that news will come in. Things we will need to think about is the impact of whatever health insurance decisions we need to make, what that could have on our employees as well. And that would be all employees, including, I'm very conscious of premiums rising at a faster rate than wages and things like that. So that's one of the upcoming big unknowns. Then in May, we issue contracts, which we changed our process last year where teacher contracts, they an amount not less than this year. So we have a little bit of wiggle room with wages, but it is absolutely best practice to get wages in teacher hands before they're gone for the summer to help reduce the job searching that could go on. Historically speaking, from the state budget standpoint, once the Joint Finance Committee gives their opinions on what the budget should be, the budget rarely differs tremendously from what Joint Finance. So although we're looking for an approved budget, hopefully in July, the Joint Finance Committee is going through their state budget process right now. They're meeting with 4 different agencies. Department of Education is not one of the agencies they pick to meet with. And then they're doing 4 listening sessions around the state, and then they'll come up with their conclusion. Once we get that, our boxes that we have estimates in will get much more clear. They still won't be exact, but will be a lot closer. When that happens, it really depends on how long it takes them to get through this process with their upcoming meetings. So realistically, I would think probably not before, May.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay, so I just out of respect for those that haven't spoken yet, Ms. Prestwood Funkhauser, did you have anything that you wanted to speak about on this reduction slide at all?
Yeah, so this is my 3rd time going through this process along with many other processes, and it's never easy. And it's not something that I take lightly, because these are people in our community. They're the adults that our children look up to. And with the huge unknown of the budget and not knowing the budget where it sits, I have to say I'm not in favor of the 8 that we're specifically discussing. But keeping in mind though that nobody's losing their job, which is a fear I think that some people in the community have. They're just moving to a different role. They'll still be within our buildings. They will still see the children, the kids will still look up to them. I I think I have to agree with you guys in that if we can wait just a little bit longer, as long as the staff is okay with that, we sit it and wait out just a little bit. But again, keeping in mind those benefits and the CPI and the way that we have discussed previously and how we want to move with that, at some point, we're gonna have to make a decision, hard or not, and it's not gonna be pretty.
Thank you for that. Mr. Burns Gilbert, did you have anything that you wanted to comment on for the reduction slide?
Yeah. First, thank you all for conversation, administration, everyone that put all the hours in to make these recommendations. I think my reactions are similar, but also I wouldn't be opposed to going this route right now tonight. I think what the part that is the tipping point for me is that next year, how much COVID money is going to fall off the operating and Fund 10?
2 million.
2 million. So that's going to be hard. And this is proposed with 0 people. This is resignations. This is attrition. I think one of the things that I heard loud and clear going through this process last year was the pod system was helpful, right? The interventions, the support systems. Our administration is proposing the deans to help with the behaviors inside the classroom. We might get some of these classes that have 3 special education assistants in there based off of how IEPs show. We don't know those things, right? And so I think to be able to set everyone up, not just 8 positions that don't have, right, that are attrition, right, that are being vacant. I think with the negotiating that will come, with the flexibility that will come, I hear the concern about the class sizes, but again, looking long-term, futuristic, they're going to go down after this next year, right? We have projections from the next 10 years for birth rates, for, right, everything is telling us from, unless I'm off base, someone correct me if I'm wrong, right? It'll be a bump for 1 year and then start to go down again. And in that process, we're going to still continue to provide support for our educators. We'll be able to see some of the return on having dean of students be more proactive, and how can we build, you know, the socio-emotional learning into a proactive perspective instead of after something bad happens or a negative choice is made. So I think, you know, this isn't necessarily a decision based off of the budget right now for me, but also knowing what we're going to have to do this time next year. I think waiting puts us, when we talk about getting the best quality educators for our students, waiting puts us at a disadvantage because they're hiring right now, right? People are putting themselves out there. They're applying to positions. We had 16 for the assistant principal position, something like that, right? So that is all happening. And the longer that we put off this, then they will choose our peers in the area. They will go elsewhere, right? And I think that's another factor of how last year was. We didn't even know if the referendum was going to pass or not at this time last year, right? And that was what it was. And I don't think basing that off of this year's decision would make sense. And so I also want to recognize that we have a team of 3 new administrators. We have awesome folks that have been working really hard. And I think this is a, you know, testament to the relationships that they've been building throughout this year too, of being able to include everybody in the process as much as we can. So I think that also is on my mind too, of we're not in the classrooms, right? Not often. And I think the educators, some educators have shared concerns. Some educators have said, this is the way to go, right? We're not going to make everyone happy with our decisions, but I do think that this to me makes the most sense right now, knowing the hurdles that we're going to have to go through as a community moving forward. And maybe those hurdles, right, with Governor Evers' budget, who knows, right, how that'll shake out. Maybe there'll be molehills instead of, right, mountains. But I think we can't bank on that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'd be okay making decisions. I'd be okay accepting some of these pieces with a few adjustments, but I also don't want to sit here and pick apart line by line, position by position. Right. I think there's a level of trust that we've established over the last year and wanting to help further that forward with all of our educators. So
thank you for that, Mr. Burns Gilbert. Yeah, Mr. Russ, go ahead.
So I agree with Leah. We have time. And one of the reasons why we brought it forward is to be clear and transparent with our staff and our community. This is what we're facing. And so we can make the recommendations and we're going to go with them. But there's another part of this agenda item that talks about the priorities that you guys would like to maybe look for moving forward. Okay, so the budget forecast that we brought forward earlier really doesn't increase a lot of different areas or puts more money into this bucket, or that bucket's a bad idea because, or this area, that area, or that. So when you start to talk about, maybe increase priorities in this area, that increased priorities, if it's financial, has to come from somewhere. So that's also part of that, along with the attraction and retention of our staff. Is there more priorities that the board would like administration to look into moving forward? Because usually those priorities have a financial impact. So
Thank you for that.
that's the other side, but we can wait. But please know there's pros and cons.
Thank you. Mrs. Lopez, you haven't had an opportunity to speak. Floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you very much. So I think what I struggle with most, or at least a portion of what I struggle with this staffing recommendation, is that it really hasn't changed at all. And it's the only one that we've received from administration since this began. I don't see a lot of options. And if I understand Mr. S., if we were to approve this tonight, these staffing positions remain. It's not 3 teachers, perhaps 2 at Meadowview, 1 at Sparta High. It is 3 at Meadowview.
We would look for the 3 at Meadowview. What that would look like at Meadowview would be, we did get a little flexibility, maybe some creativeness there, but we would look for a 3 FTE at Meadowview based on the enrollment and what we feel that we can do.
Ms. Hauser, can you think of a time in recent history when the Joint Finance Committee did not speak with the Department of Education during this time, and what that would potentially mean for school budgets in Wisconsin?
Typically, Department of Ed is one of the departments that always gets talked to. Last week, I attended a legislative update with other business managers to kind of talk about exactly what you're asking. And the resounding answer was none of us know. There's a potential that when they talk to Department of Administration, they could also talk about education. But it was a little bit shocking that education wasn't one of the departments they chose to speak with.
So, Mr. S., you asked for recommendations from the board for areas that we might want you to look at, or for, to be addressed. With 2 million falling off of the ESSER funds next year, has anyone, I dread saying this, but has anyone looked at SVLA? Because that is entirely funded with ESSER funds, I believe. Is that correct?
Right now, they're allocated with through ESSER funds, yes. But one of the assumptions we did go, and I'm not, is that we're treating ESSER and Fund 10 in our budgetary in our budgetary discussions as one. So yeah, but there's SVLA is ESSER funded. There's a lot of special educational assistance. So when we start to dive into those, that's why it's like, oh, ESSER falls off, we're going to lose a lot of educational assistants that are devoted to special ed. That just can't happen. So that's why we put them both, everything considered Fund 10.
Which will mean a lot of reorganization next year, as Mr. Burns-Gilbert said. I still struggle with making this decision tonight. I recognize that it is a decision. It's a hard decision that will have to be made. I feel like taking the reductions separately from the additions is a difficult step too, if we were to separate those out, because I failed last meeting to mention that I recognize, I had said that we're reducing, I don't remember the numbers now, 5.5 at the instructional side versus adding 1.5 at the administration side. I failed to mention that I understand teachers have been asking for those the dean of students. So I just feel like, are we going to take these separately, or are we going to do them together? Because
Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
not prepared tonight. I mean, I am prepared, but I'm not comfortable making a decision.
So here's the motion I was going to entertain just based on the discussion we've had here. I would entertain a motion to reduce the following positions: 0.5 instructional coach at Meadowview, 1 first grade teacher at Herman Elementary, 2 SVLA special ed teachers, and 1 principal at Herman Elementary. That was the first motion I was going to entertain. And then we can still talk about the other 2 items, but that would give some direction to administration. So that said, do I have a motion for those reductions?
I would make that motion.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. McKenna. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Ms. Prestwood Funkhauser, and we'll do a roll call.
Mr. Shelby,
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Presswood.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0, 1 absent. Okay, so now we have those taken care of. Is there further discussion on the 3 teachers at Meadowview and the 5 regular EA positions district-wide?
How many of the 5 EA positions are currently open, and how long have they been open?
I believe out of the 5, 1 has been opened, as Miss Everson Riley said, for several months. And then the other position was probably 3 weeks. The rest of them have been filled. That's also at Southside, yes.
Can I
Ms.
just,
Prestwood Funkhauser, go ahead.
I know I've asked this question before. How easy is it to have this process to fill these positions? Is it a lengthy process to fill these positions? Is it rather, we going to have many applicants when these positions are posted? What is that even going to look like?
So you're asking if we would keep the pod system as is. Right now, we have some resignations and people are hiring. So if we decide to keep keep these positions, these 3 FTEs, we would need to hire. And in order to hire the best quality candidate and put our best foot forward, hiring now is the best practice. Ideally, as a high school principal, I always like to be fully staffed going into the summer the best I can. But with the amount of teacher candidates that are out there right now, there's not that many, and that's nationwide. The sooner the better. And we do have some positions posted that we know we have to fill. So that's where we're still hiring, but
And
there's
what
just some positions that we're waiting on.
What about the EA positions then?
Those come throughout the school year. We typically have quite a few during the summer, and some will start to resign prior to the school year ending when they get summer employment and do that. So finding all positions in education is very difficult, and we do our best to fill them. One of the things that goes back to the attraction and retaining of staff, especially with classified staff, they want to know what their hourly wage is and the insurance benefit and that sort of thing. So the timeline is that we want to be hired up the best we can before we go into summer break. However, reality is that people are going to move, and we'll do our best to fill those. And then sometimes there's at the end where do we need a position or do we need to reshift?
Thank you, Mr. Russ. All right, Mr. McKenna, I heard you talking about the EA positions. Is there anything specific you'd like to see with that, or any further discussion you would want on that?
I would move to reduce 2 regular education assistants district-wide.
All right, I have a motion for Mr. McKenna to reduce 2 regular EA positions district-wide. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second from Mr. Wells. Roll call.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Ms. Prestwood,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Schulze.
Yes, motion carries 6-0, 1 absent. All right, we have 3 teachers at Meadowview for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and 3 regular educational assistants district-wide. Is there any further discussion on the reductions? Mr. Wells, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm uncomfortable with leaving these on the table, but at the same time, I would support it if we need to. For some reason, I have something in my mind where, because we don't know, right? We could have a $0 increase, and then what do? I know it was just last month. We have no budgetary dollars going into our long range plans, our facilities, the things that we want to promote to say we have the nicest facilities. And it's pretty easy to do it when this building is a little over 20 years old. So when we think about it, what is kind of doing a reverse Jenga approach where we knock it all down, build it back together again, and try to come up with the best possible? Because honestly, we're in a budgetary standpoint where we don't know what's going to happen. And taking this, albeit conservative approach, would allow us to find better ways to support our educators down the line, or do things that better meet the needs of our staff or our students, and try to do things. Yes, maybe it might be till July till we can make those other decisions, but that doesn't mean these positions can't come back and that these are only temporary if we do have some sort of windfall. That's something that I want to have people understand, where if we are able to do things that put all of our best interests forward as soon as we can, it would be very helpful for everyone in the long run.
And I think the big thing for me, all right, so I'll tell you what that thing in the back of your head is for me, it's climate, culture, and relationships. That's what's screaming in the back of my head right now. So it's like, what reductions can we handle and really be feasible without destroying this climate, culture, relationship that we're trying to establish and keep within the district. So as of right now, for me, as long as we have until summer and I think next month we need to make these decisions. I mean, we got to give administration the full guidance of what it's looking at, but I can see waiting on those 6 positions until next month.
So if you guys are okay, at the committee of the whole, we would have a committee of the whole meeting, and then we could have this as a special meeting where we can revisit this.
I was just going to ask you to do that after the next one. So that's, yeah.
So we can revisit it. We would have a special meeting just because the committee of the whole is a recommendation to the full board. And we can have a special meeting on this because it's the 3rd time it's not first time we're talking about it.
Yep.
So the community knows, the staff knows, all of our stakeholders know, so it's transparent. They still be able to give information to, on both sides. So if you guys are okay with that, we're okay with that, moving forward.
I would be in support of that. Does everybody? Yeah, Mr. McKenna, go ahead.
Question I have with that, a week from now, we're gonna have an election for 4 seats. Would special meeting be old board or new board?
It's old board.
It would be the old board. The first, the new board members take, one or more. You have one for sure. Will take place the 4th Monday in April is when they take the official oath.
First regular board meeting. So
Out of respect to the new board, would you want them to be involved in the decision they have to face going forward?
let Mr. Russ and I speak about that, and then I'll get back to the rest of the board on that. Because I do know, we linked, Mrs. Lopez, we linked you into the discussion, and that was very helpful. So you and I can talk about that.
We'll talk.
And
We'll
yeah.
talk.
That's like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Good
So,
thought.
and it also give us an idea, because you guys are going to talk about priorities if you wanted to do that. And we have the additions and priorities if you wanted to talk about that, or we could do whatever you guys choose to do as a board.
All right. So with respect to the reductions, any further discussion on reductions? All right, let's move to the next slide, which is additions for consideration. Chris, you want to just go to the next slide there, sir?
I'm sorry, that's.
Oh, Sam, thank you very much. All right, any discussion to start off with the additions for consideration? Mrs. Lopez, go ahead.
Yes. So Mr. Vest, we would change this slide to one dean of students at Sparta High School. Is that correct? Because we just approved Mr. Sands as the assistant principal.
So we approved the assistant principal. So we would be looking at budgetarily adding a dean at SHS and a dean at Meadowview. Assuming that we're okay with moving Mr. Dow to Herman.
So my feelings on, Mrs. Lopez, did you have something further?
Not at this time.
Okay, so my feelings moving into this slide was one dean of students for the district. We have the assistant principal position filled, and then as far as the athletic director, activity director, to have that be district-wide as well. So I like everything else in the, like, going through the administrative structure for comparables. I guess we always link into Onalaska for whatever reason, Mr. Russ, right? So that was who I looked at primarily. I mean, again, when you look at the comparables from a size standpoint, it felt like if there may be a little bit of savings in that. Obviously, that's a lot of work for that dean, whoever it would be. But we're adding a full-time assistant principal at the high school, which would hopefully free up a little bit of time for that person. So that was the first thought I had, but I'm definitely open to the rest of the board's ideas and thoughts. Mr. Wells, go ahead.
My concern with that is we already had 3 administrative positions in this building before COVID, our administration turnover, whatever we want to, whatever turning point in the chapter of Sparta Area School District is. That would mean we would leave a reduction either way. I mean, even looking at what we were just looking at versus what we are now, we're reducing the needs in this building, and I can't necessarily, that sounds like something that wouldn't necessarily help them too. I know that a lot of our high school, like I know the behavioral issues are immense at the high school. And I'm going to quote one of our administrators, but it also means that we need to focus at our lower levels, right? So if we had 3 administrators here, which one of them is also going to be administrator for sales, or not sales, ISA, yep. You know, we're having a major reduction there, and it doesn't really show. It doesn't really have that quite focus while these kids may need that propping up in order to reach that high school level. So, you know, if we were to change this, that might not be the levels of supports that we want, because I mean, we do need to support our educators one way or another. And, you know, that's where that community climate culture comes in again, where if they don't have that leadership or that guidance to promote those said things, because our half a dean and our assistant principal and our principal are too busy putting out fires, are we back to square one?
Thank you for that, Mr. Wells. Mr. Burns Gilbert, go ahead.
Yeah, I just was gonna add, I don't like that idea at all. I just spent today at the high school and just being able to be with Mr. Ford, Mr. Sands throughout some of what they dealt with just this morning on a Monday morning, it is nearly impossible for them to get into the classrooms and give our educators the coaching and support and like check in to see how they're doing as human beings too, right? When they're trying to track students down and they're sitting outside in the hallways and they're hiding in bathrooms, right? Like those are all realities that we've been dealing with well. And I think this is kind of where that structure comes in from the Dean of Student Support to be able to focus on that, to allow all of our educators to get the support that they expect when they come, right? They expect to have a principal that can be in their observational classrooms, right? They expect that as part of their professional development. And I think that can go a long way in retaining them if they are able to build better relationships with our administration who by adding the 2 Dean of Students positions. So I guess I don't see a split building. They're traveling. They're not able to build those connections. They don't get to the level of relationships with, some of our students that they need to be able to be heard and supported. So I would be in favor of all these additions at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Burns Gilbert. Anybody else? Mr. McKenna, go ahead.
I'm with you, Colin. And really, when I look at all of this, I am just all in to go all in for 1 year. I feel like we're surprised by the way the behavioral issues changed and how they came on so fast. I think the way to stop it is to stop kicking the can and commit. If we have the availability some way, somehow to overstaff, to oversupport, to turn the tide, to get things going, I would much rather fully commit to 23-24 than play scared of 24-25. I mean, I'll make a motion to approve these additions for consideration, with the exception of the assistant principal at the Sparta High School being a dean of students.
Thank you for that, Mr. McKenna. Do I have a second on that?
I will second that.
I have a second from Ms. Prestwood. For the sake of discussion, Ms. Prestwood Funkhauser, Ms. Lopez, if you have anything to say, feel free.
Okay, thank you. Yes. So although I enjoy the thought of saving the district the salary and benefits of a dean of students, I spent a few hours or maybe an hour and a half at the Sparta High School this fall. And during that time, Mr. Ford and Mr. Sands were together working with behavior issues. And I do see that there is a need for that. I have spoken with teachers who have said that they would like to have administration observing them in their classrooms, giving them feedback and support. So I agree with that. My question is, where does the activities director fall into this? That's no change for the activities director. Both this.
Well, I suppose that's a transition of.
That would be a transition. Once we set it'd be my recommendation that if we set the deans, that at the committee of the whole, we would bring back to you ideas on how to fill the activities director at Meadowview. And it could be, like we stated before, extra duty. It could be one AD district wide. And if it's not one AD district wide, what are some maybe other alternate responsibilities that the high school AD could have as well? So that would be my recommendation. That way we can set it, and that way we can really dive into, okay, this is the structure, this is how it's going to work, and come up with some ideas to really have to give it the time that we need.
Ms. Prestwood Funkhauser, did you have anything further you wanted to add?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. McKenna, just to clarify, was there an exception that you said? What was the exception?
Yeah, since we've approved the assistant principal,
Got
that
it.
would be
Okay.
a dean of students at the Sparta High School.
All right. So we have a motion for the additions. We have a second. Let's go ahead and do roll call.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Schulte,
Yes.
Ms. Prestwood. Yes. Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert.
Yes. Motion carries 6-0, 1 absent. All right, Mr. Russ, is there anything further? What?
It's just if the board wants to discuss any priorities that, if, once again, we talked about priorities a little bit already with our staffing levels. And is there any other priorities, and we'd really appreciate if there's a priority of the board that we'd get a motion in a second and, a true direction just because we have a lot of ideas amongst a lot of people and really to get that direction. So, that'll help us with some directions and maybe some staffing, some planning. To see where we're going, or if the board doesn't want to give those priorities, that's perfectly fine too. We just wanted to give an opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Russ. Yeah, so one of the big priorities that I've been trying to look into as much as I can, and I'd like to present to the rest of the board. We did market adjustments for a ton of people last year, a ton of staff members, but we did not do market adjustments for our advisors and coaches. So what I've asked Ms. Hauser and Mr. Russ to do is to look at a couple of options for what a market adjustment could look like to just make us competitive around the region, because we're not competitive at all. So when the initial thoughts and ideas came back with the recommendations that I put out there, that was around, I think it was around $100,000, correct? So there's a potential market adjustment for advisors and coaches that would be in the tune of around 100,000. It was certain percentages. How did we do that? It was based on salary, base of salary.
Yep. The recommendations you asked for was because our co-curricular salary schedule is based off the base pay. So in the back of the employee handbook, it's got this advisor is this percent and that advisor is that percent. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was increasing 0.5% with the advisors and some increase in some other positions.
So we can get that specific information to you, but that was one priority that I felt. I mean, when you take a look at students that graduate, students that are involved in extracurriculars and co-curriculars, are 97% of them are going to graduate high school. It's in a world that we're living in within our district, to have that opportunity after school and after hours, I feel is something that we should prioritize, and our advisors and coaches should get compensated appropriately for. So that was one thing that I have administration looking into. So that's an example of some priorities that you may see from a board level that you'd like to see yourself. I'll open it up. Mr. Wells?
Yeah, so I remember discussing at the forum where I know that our long-term capital improvements budget is at 0. And even though I would not want to prioritize that over the needs of our students, if we do have a potential windfall in the near future, I'd like to focus on that. I know that we can't bank on referendums as based on what we experienced last year. So, we need to focus on putting more dollars into Fund 46 and use that as a savings account now. And we need to change our priorities to make our buildings the best that they could be. So, if there's talks of referendum in the future, or if we get really lucky and have a superb state budget, if any of that happens, I'd be very open to talks and discussions on how we can improve our buildings and grounds.
Thank you for that, Mr. Wells. Any further discussion from board members? All right, so as of right now, further priorities to look into. Oh, Mr. Burns Gilbert, go ahead.
I was just going to add, I think it came out in our conversation before, but if we wanted a motion in a second, I would move to make social emotional learning a priority, adding more building-wide, more district-wide opportunities to help our students connect some of those dots and help our educators earlier in the process before behavior starts creeping in. And then my other piece was going to be capital projects, because that's going to be where we can't keep putting that off. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burns Gilbert. Further discussion.
I think Mr. Burns Gilbert wanted to put in a motion in a second.
Oh yeah, I'm getting there. Yeah. Oh no, so I was just going to entertain a motion for administration to look further into district priorities such as market adjustments for co-curriculars and extracurriculars, looking into the long-range plan and capital projects, and looking further into social emotional learning.
Yep. I will make that motion.
All right, I have a motion for Mr. Burns Gilbert. Do I have a second?
I'd second that.
A second for Mr. McKenna. Roll call.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Ms. Prestwood,
Yes.
Mr. Schulte,
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0, one absent. Mr. Russ and the rest of the directors, would you like any further guidance on this as of right now?
I think from my perspective, I think we're good. And once again, I really appreciate the dialogue. I appreciate you all saying, this is what I feel. This is what I'm thinking. This is what you're hearing. All that dialogue goes a long way. And this is the reason why we're going early, is so we can get that out so that we are transparent to continue that high climate, high trust, high culture, to show that we're just not making things at the last minute or anything like that. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
And thanks to all of you for all the hard work. Administration as well. Thanks, principals, assistants, principals. Thank you for everything that you've done here. So item 4B, discussion and possible action to approve the buildings and grounds long-range plan. Ms. Hauser.
I don't have anything new to add. We had a good conversation at the last meeting regarding some questions. Are there any further questions?
Further questions or comments from board members? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the buildings and grounds long-range plan.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Mr. Wells. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second from Mr. Burns Gilbert. Any further discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Ms. Prestwood,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Schulte,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0, one absent. Item 4C, discussion and possible action to approve the CISA 4 contract for the 23-24 school year. Mr. Russ.
Yes, just to review, these are the slides that were from from the committee of the whole. Just an overview. I'm going to go to the final. We're looking at 262,000 for our CISA 4 contract. This is an increase about 17,000, and 8,000 of them are a new service, which we're very excited about, to support our educational assistants in our most high needs area as well: behavior support, response to intervention, and really that de-escalation technique. Funding sources are from the Director of Instructional Services, Buildings and Grounds, Student Services, and various grants. Just a quick overview. Those are the overviews that we discussed. Student Services support, improvement support, YA, CTE, itinerant services. Those are like hearing, vision, and OTPT. Those are the ones that we do not necessarily be able to hire because they're such in high demand. We consult with CISA for that, and they're called itinerant services. And then environmental health and safety, that's where we do a lot of our testing, and that's where the buildings and grounds side comes in. So I take any questions in regards to our CISA contract for the 23-24 school year.
Questions or comments for Mr. Russ? Mr. McKenna, go ahead.
I'd make a motion to approve the CISA 4 contract for the 23-24 school year.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. McKenna. Do I have a second on that? A second from Mrs. Lopez. Any further discussion on this item? All right, hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Ms. Prestwood,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Schulte.
Yes. Motion carries 6-0, one absent. Item 4D, discussion on Sparta High School's auditorium assessment. Mr. Russ.
All right, this is a discussion item only, but we wanted to bring some information to you. Just a reminder, we do have our facility assessment on the auditorium. That is it's getting close to complete, and we have some more budgetary figures and some timelines. The total cost is approximately $480,000. And that total cost is a mixture of high-end equipment and middle equipment. We hired the vendor, and they did what was best that they thought. I asked, is this low, middle, or high? Some of it's high because that's what you're going to need for longevity and the quality of the product. And other ones are the middles, like, nope, this is a great product and this will last you a long time as well. So, and they did a site visit. They've talked to some stakeholders, including Mr. Erickson and Miss Schneider. and some other stakeholders in their parent booster club, and a lot of good discussion. So about 480,000, and it was broken down by the components, about 375 for audio, visual, and video, about 30,000 for curtains, and then the wiring is about 75,000 alone. So we are looking at confident in a October 31st completion if we wanted to roll with this, and that is assuming that we give them the go ahead by May 1st.
The one thing I would add to this too, Mr. Russ, so if we do decide this is what the direction we'd want to go as a board, the fall musical starts November 3rd. So if we decide to move forward, I would recommend not waiting until May 1st to make that decision. We're going to want to make it sooner than later. So if that's the direction we all want to go. I didn't mean to interrupt, Mr. Russ.
Nope.
Go ahead.
And if that's the direction we want to go, we've already have a planned, this is the second, once again, this is not going to be the first time, if we do a special meeting. So this is why we're having a discussion now. And then we could definitely put this item on the committee of the special agenda, the special board meeting on April 10th, if we wanted to do that. Also, I know that at the facility community engagement, they talked about increasing the auditorium space. That was one idea that came up. This equipment could be, if we decide to do it, and then down the road, if we decide to go to, break down some walls, we would have to take down the equipment. The wiring might have to redo, but this equipment would be able to be reused in that space. There's obviously additional cost to that, obviously, with taking things down, storing, new wiring, and potentially new wiring, because if you take down a wall with wire, it's going to need new wire and that sort of thing. So please know that this equipment is possible to be reused. However, realistically, there's going to be an increased cost on that.
And Mr. Russ, the way I understand that, if we're looking at can you go forward one slide? The way I understand that, yeah. So that 75,000 in wiring, essentially, there's a strong possibility that that's what would have to be made up. The rest of it can be taken down and stored appropriately and reutilized. But that wiring is probably not the curtains. Go ahead, Mrs. Hauser. Yeah.
Depending on if there were construction and walls were moved, the curtain may also be a sunk cost depending on the new stage design and layout. So wiring for sure, potentially curtain.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so is there did you have anything else, Mr. Russ?
So we have about $400,000 in Fund 46 earmarked tentatively for this project. I don't think the board has officially earmarked it, but one of the reasons why you approved the long range plan is that Fund 46 can be used on anything on that long range plan. And that's one of the capital improvements on that. So that is another reality. We have about 400,000 in Fund 46. Obviously, it's less than the cost, and these are estimates and the vendor's best estimate. So.
All right, with that, I will open it up to the rest of the board. Go ahead, Mrs. Lopez.
Okay, so without a doubt, the auditorium needs to be updated. The show choir presentation was absolutely amazing. I've had the blessing of being there many times for awards banquets. Every time I've been at the auditorium, maybe it's me. No, just kidding. There have been issues. It's something that we've put off for a long time. I'm wondering if there is a way that is it possible to lock in prices at a certain point, or will this be variable until it's complete?
I will have to ask that question.
Many of my other questions you answered, Mr. Russ, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, further discussion from board members. Mr. McKenna, go ahead.
So for clarity, we have 400,000 put aside. If we decided to go through with this, the other 80,000 is just a Fund 10 expense.
So I'm a little confused about that, because when the Memorial Field project was done, we had 470,000 set for this. So do we know where that 70,000 went? Did it go did it go to other long range projects, or? And if it did, that's fine. I'm just. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you for that. Because I thought we had 470,000, so that's, yeah. And if it is 400, then that's what it is. So any further discussion from board members? Mr. Burns Gilbert, go ahead.
Is there a reason why we're not going to approve this tonight?
So it's a discussion topic because it was supposed to just be an update. Mr. Russ got these numbers today.
Oh, you did.
So he's presenting it to us
So it
right
could be
out.
a-
Friday, we did. So it was, we didn't know. And going back to our structure, we're trying not to have the board, this is a big deal. And trying not to have the board make big deal decisions in one night. And we'll be able to, now the community knows where we're standing. You're going to get input, you're going to get pros and cons and to how to move forward. So that is why we decided not to have a recommendation tonight.
And WSB Legal said with open meetings law, we couldn't legally do that anyways. So
That's important.
yeah, yep. So, but I would like to see it on that special meeting where we can have further discussion and possible action. Ms. Presswood, did you?
Well, I just was pulling up notes from an October meeting and I have a note that we earmarked 440,000 for the high school auditorium. But that was last October.
Okay,
so.
thank you for that. Further discussion from board members? Mr. Russ, did you get that? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you so much for that update. Ms. Hauser, did you have anything further? Mr. Russ, anything further? All right, sounds great. And I hope that wasn't too standoffish. I didn't mean for it to. Okay, thank you. Great. All right, item 4E, discussion and possible action to approve the grants and donations. Mr. Russ.
All right, for your approval tonight, over $1,000, Jostens, for recipient is Herman, over $2,200. And then the Green Bay Packers NFL program for Coach Dow's program development for Coach of the Week for $2,000 for your approval. Very nice, generous donations.
Thank you so much to Jostens. And yeah, Mr. Dow, that's pretty great. Coach Dow. Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks so much for that, Coach. All right, with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the grants of $1,000 and greater.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Ms. Prestwood Funkhauser,
I will second that.
a second from Mrs. Lopez. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 6-0, one absent.
And for your information, I'd like to thank the following donors for the backpack program. First Sergeant Ricky and Kimberly Merritt, Chapter PPEO of the Sisterhood, and then John and Diane Noonan for their generous donations to the backpack program. Thank you very much.
And thank you from the board. We appreciate that very much. Item 5A, announcements and information. Mr. Russ.
All right. Election days right around the corner on April 4th, encouraging all stakeholders to vote who are eligible. And we're going to have the Board of Canvassers on April 10th at 10 o'clock at Maplewood to certify the election results. And then we have the Committee of the Whole April 10th. Soup with the Soup, April 19th. That's when we'll talk more about the facility study and summarizing and next steps with that. And then full board meeting on April 24th. That's when we'll have any new board members on for that will be their first time. And since this meeting, remember on the April 10th, we will have a special meeting as well on that date. And then our May meetings. And then the SASD facility update to Wednesday, we're meeting with Bray Architect and Markin and Johnson again to kick off, continue that process of the facility study. And during spring break on April 5th, they're going to be touring our facilities. So that process is moving along very nicely. And we'll be giving updates as we go with that as well. And we've talked about the auditorium. Lots of good happenings in the district, but I want to highlight one big event we had last week was the Life Skills Olympics district-wide held at Sparta High School. That was on March 24th. And here are some pictures. It is a great event at SHS where students with special needs come to SHS and compete in a variety of of challenges. One of them is, and this is the one I really loved, is a taking out the trash challenge. And I think my kids should be able to been there, and all the other kids probably could benefit from that. But no, these are tasks that they enjoy greatly. Talk about pencil sharpening, sorting silverware, shredding, pony beads on pipe cleaners, nuts and bolts, money match, dominoes, folding towels. Just a great event. Sorting cards, putting cards in envelopes. Just a great event. And as you can see, they're excited. We're all excited. And I got to ride the bus from Southside over to Meadowview and then back to the high school. And at Southside, this is a big event at Southside. All the kids come into the hallway and the Olympians walk up and down the hallway. The kids make signs, they cheer them on. It's just a fantastic event. And special thanks to Miss Christina June and Miss Megan Mankey for doing all their hard work with that. But as you can see, it's just a great event for a lot of kids, and we're just so proud of them. And very, very special kids, dear to all of our hearts. And we really appreciate the hard work. They have shirts, all different colors, for different schools. And just a fantastic event. So I wanted to highlight that one tonight.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Russ. All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, I was getting concerned. We got to come up with some more items here. I have a motion from Mrs. Lopez. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Mr. Wells. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.